Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I'd been planning the backyard movie night for weeks. Projector against the garage, chairs lined up on the grass, burgers sizzling on the grill. Sophia and Liam were already wrapped in blankets, whispering and laughing, waiting for the film to start. It was supposed to be simple, steady, hours. Heather came out late, not in jeans or a sweater like I expected, but in a cobalt dress, heels clicking across the deck, perfume thick enough to carry. She didn't even glance at the setup. Her eyes were glued to her phone. "You could have told me we were dressing for a gala," I said, half joking. She didn't smile. "I invited someone. He's helping with the fundraiser at the gym. Thought you wouldn't mind." Before I could answer, the side gate squeaked. A tall man walked in like he'd been here 100 times. Square jaw, tattoos creeping out of his sleeves, confidence oozing from every step. "This is Josh," Heather said, her voice a little too bright. Josh didn't shake my hand. He grabbed a chair, spun it around, and sat like he owned the yard. He nodded at the grill. "You call those coals ready?" Without waiting, he stood, picked up my tongs, and jabbed at the food. "Put those down," I told him. Heather finally looked up from her phone, smirking. "Maybe if you actually paid attention once in a while, Russell, I wouldn't have to invite someone who knows what he's doing." The kids went still. Josh chuckled. I kept my voice even. "You bring a stranger into my house, Heather, and then mock me in front of our children? That's low, even for you." She tilted her head, lips curling. "Stranger? At least Josh knows how to treat me like I matter." Josh pushed off the chair and squared his shoulders. "You don't talk to her like that." I turned to him. "This is between my wife and me." That's when it happened. He stepped closer, raised his hand, and slapped me across the face. Open palm. The crack echoed off the garage wall, sharp enough to silence everything. Sophia gasped. Liam dropped his blanket. My cheek burned, but the humiliation cut deeper. Heather didn't rush to me. She didn't say a word. She just stood, walked to Josh's side, and said coldly, "Let's go." And they left together, side by side, through the gate. The kids clutched their blankets tighter. I stood there, cheeks stinging, tongs still on the ground, realizing the night I planned to keep my family together had just blown it apart in one hit. I didn't sleep that night. Sophia cried herself quiet in her room, and Liam curled under his blanket on the couch, refusing to move. I sat in the kitchen. Every sound in the house felt sharp. Heather hadn't come back. At sunrise, my phone lit up on the counter. Missed calls stacked one after another. 43, then 60. By mid-morning, 89. Heather's voice filled the voicemail box, angry at first, then pleading, then panicked. "Russell, pick up. Just talk to me. You don't understand what happened." I didn't return a single call. Not yet. Instead, I moved quietly through the house, making breakfast for the kids. They barely touched them. Liam asked, "Is Mom coming back?" I told him, "Not today." It was the only truth I had. After they went upstairs, I turned my attention to the answers. I pulled open the drawer, found the old tablet Heather swore had stopped working months ago. It still powered on. A few minutes of digging, and everything was right there. Hotel receipts under her name, rideshare trips, photos of her and Josh together, drinks in hand, smiles too rehearsed to be new. The worst was a video clip, her voice, whispering, "He has no idea." It's almost exciting. I didn't throw the tablet. I opened my laptop, copied every file to an external drive, and locked it in my truck. That night, I sat in the guest room. My cheeks still throbbed, but my head was clear. Heather had chosen her side. The missed calls weren't for me. They were about control slipping out of her hands. I wasn't going to give it back. The following morning, Heather finally showed up. She didn't knock, just walked in like nothing had happened. The kids ran downstairs, froze when they saw her, then drifted back toward the hallway without a word. She noticed. "Really, Russell? You've poisoned them against me already?" she said, tossing her purse onto the counter. I didn't answer. Instead, I slid a folder across the island. Inside were printouts, hotel bills, timestamps. I'd kept the worst photo for last, her and Josh, smiling at the camera like teenagers. She flipped through the pages, smirked, then set them down. "You went digging. That's cute." "Not cute," I said evenly. "Necessary. No more games, Heather. You and I are finished. You'll see the kids, but not on your terms, and not with Josh anywhere near them." Her eyes narrowed. You don't get to dictate that. I'll take custody if I have to. Do you really think a judge is going to side with you? You're a boring 9 to 5 who grills burgers and calls that romance. Josh makes me feel alive. I didn't blink. I'm not here to compete with your fun. I'm here to protect Sophia and Liam. There's a temporary parenting plan in that folder. Monica, family attorney, will coordinate everything. Exchanges happen at the station lobby. No exceptions. She laughed. You sound rehearsed. Did someone coach you on this? I don't need coaching, I said. I've got evidence. And I've got patience. You're free to burn down your own life, but you don't get to burn theirs. For the first time, she looked unsettled. Just a flicker, but I caught it. She snatched her purse. You'll regret this, Russell. When I take them away from you, you'll regret every word. The door slammed behind her. I stayed at the counter, hands flat on the wood, breathing steady. For years, I had let her control the mood of this house. That ended today. Monica's advice was clear. Every exchange had to be done where cameras were running and tempers couldn't be spun into stories. That meant the police station lobby downtown. Neutral ground, public, documented. Heather hated it. She texted me for 3 days straight. It's ridiculous. You're embarrassing me. We'll do it at the cafe by the park. My answer never changed. Lobby or not at all. Saturday morning, I parked in the station lot with Sophia and Liam in the back seat. They were quiet, backpacks packed. When we walked into the lobby, Heather was already there. She had that same red-lipped smile, but her eyes darted toward the glass doors. Outside, leaning against a black SUV, was Josh. He waved like he was family. My jaw tightened, but I didn't move. Heather knelt, kissed the kids, then whispered something I couldn't hear. She walked toward the doors, pulled them open, and stepped halfway out to Josh. I stayed inside, watching through the glass. He leaned close, said something cocky, then looked straight at me. He raised his hand and mimed a slap, grinning. I pulled out my phone, tapped record, and held it steady. No yelling, no movement, just evidence. Heather eventually turned back. What's your problem, Russell? You can't even be civil? My problem, I said calmly, is that you brought him here. That won't happen again. This is your warning. She rolled her eyes, took the kids' hands, and walked them out. Josh opened the SUV door for her like he was auditioning for a role. That evening, I sent Monica the video. She called within the hour. Good. This helps us. We'll file to restrict his proximity to exchanges. Let her keep making mistakes. Just don't hand her any of your own. The kids came back 2 days later. I sat on the couch, replayed the lobby footage once more, and saved it to 3 different drives. Josh thought intimidation was a move. To me, it was just more leverage. Heather must have thought I'd crack if she turned up the pressure. The next exchange, she insisted on meeting at the park. The kids need fresh air, she said. Against Monica's advice, I agreed, but only after I clipped a small recorder to my key fob and set my phone to capture video. When we arrived, she was already there with Josh hovering close, pretending to toss a ball with Liam. The moment she saw me, her voice rose. Russell, stop stalking me. You're obsessed. This is harassment. She angled her phone toward me, making sure it was recording. Parents on nearby benches turned their heads. It was a performance. I stayed still. Heather, exchanges happen at the station. This is the last time we do it anywhere else. She stepped closer, voice sharp, eyes darting to the camera on her phone. See? He's threatening me. He's unstable. I didn't answer. I just held up my keys slightly, letting the tiny lens in the fob catch her whole act. Then I turned, walked back to the car, and waited. 10 minutes later, the kids ran over. That night, the doorbell camera caught something else. At 11:42 p.m., Josh showed up at my gate. He rattled the latch, leaned toward the lens, and hissed. You think you're safe? This isn't over. His face was clear, his voice sharp. Then he stormed off into the dark. I forwarded the clip to Monica the next morning. By noon, she had it filed. 2 days later, police issued Josh a formal warning. Any further stunt, and he'd be looking at charges. When Heather saw the footage during discovery, she lost her edge. The smirk was gone. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I just saved the video twice, labeled it Gate Incident, and tucked it away. Josh thought he was reminding me who held the power. Instead, He'd handed me the one thing he couldn't fake: proof. Family court isn't loud. It's quiet, almost sterile. But beneath that calm, every word can tilt the balance of a family's future. Monica laid out our side like she was stacking bricks. First, the receipts: hotel stays, ride shares, charges that Heather couldn't explain away. Then the audio clips and photos. Next, the lobby video, showing Josh at the exchange, mocking me through the glass. Finally, the doorbell footage: Josh rattling my gate at midnight, threatening me. Heather's attorney tried to paint me as controlling, a man obsessed with documenting every move. He records her constantly, the lawyer said, pointing at me like I was the problem. That shows paranoia. Monica leaned forward. Or it shows a father protecting himself after being struck in front of his children and abandoned in his own home. She let the silence hang. The judge shuffled papers, looked over the evidence again, then spoke. Temporary primary custody will be granted to Mr. Lane. Mrs. Lane will have visitation according to the schedule provided. Mr. Cole, she paused, eyes narrowing at Heather, is barred from any and all contact with the children. Further violation will result in sanctions. Heather's face didn't move, but her grip on the table did. For the first time since this started, she didn't look like the one holding the strings. I walked out of that courtroom with Sophia holding my hand and Liam trailing close. Heather trailed behind us, silent, eyes fixed somewhere far away. Outside, cameras weren't rolling, no audience, just the three of us walking to the car, buckling in and driving home. The house felt quiet when we got back. Not empty, not broken, just quiet, the kind I could live with. It was 3 weeks after the court order when Heather came back. She carried herself like she was walking into a negotiation she expected to win. "Russell," she said softly when I opened the door. "We need to talk." Sophia peeked around the corner. Liam whispered, "Mom?" I told them to stay upstairs. When their footsteps faded, I stepped outside, shutting the door behind me. Heather folded her arms. "Josh is gone. He wasn't who I thought he was. I know I made mistakes, but the kids need me. They need both of us." I kept my voice even. "They've had both of us. You just weren't here." She flinched but pressed on. "I can fix this. Let's start fresh. I'll stay away from him. We can—" "No!" Her eyes snapped up. "No?" I shook my head. "You don't get to burn the house down and walk back in because the fire scared you. You left with him. You brought him into our home. He hit me in front of our children. And the next day, you called 89 times, not to apologize but to panic because you'd lost control." Tears welled up, but her voice sharpened. "So that's it? After everything we've built, you won't even give me a chance?" I leaned on the doorframe, calm. "I gave you years. You gave me betrayal. If you want to see Sophia and Liam, stick to the schedule. That's the only way forward." Her lips tightened. For a moment, I thought she'd argue. Instead, she nodded once, whispered, "Okay," and walked down the steps without looking back. Inside, Liam asked, "Is Mom coming in?" I sat on the bottom stair beside him. "Not today, buddy, but I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." For the first time since that slap, I saw relief in his eyes. Months passed, and the storm slowly faded into a routine I could count on. Court finalized what the judge had already ordered. Primary custody stayed with me. Heather stuck to visitation, mostly on paper, sometimes missing calls, sometimes showing up late, but the drama shrank into schedules and signatures. Josh vanished entirely. Life in the house felt different. The tension that used to hang in the air was gone. I set rules, and they stayed. Sophia stopped waiting at the window every evening. Liam started laughing again, real laughter, not the nervous kind. One Friday, I set up the backyard just like I had the night it all started. This time, no surprises, no side gates swinging open. Just the three of us. The kids argued over which movie to play, then settled under a blanket, faces glowing in the light from the screen. Their laughter carried through the yard, steady, unbroken. Halfway through the film, the doorbell rang. My chest tightened for a second, instinct flashing back to that night. I opened the door. It was just our neighbor returning a ladder I'd lent him. He waved, said goodnight, and walked off. I closed the door and let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Back outside, I stood at the grill, tongs in my hand, steady this time. I watched my kids laugh at the screen, their eyes bright, safe. That slap had shattered the picture I thought my family was. But it also forced me to see the truth and to rebuild what actually mattered. Heather wasn't part of that anymore. The house was ours again. And for the first time in a long time, I was exactly where I needed to be. Thank you for watching.